This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for product, and FoW-library.com for articles and wonderful deck lists. It's also brought to you by our guest lecturer patrons, Vite Ramen. Class is in session.
Printing.
Hey there, rulers! Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will vodcast. It's office hours with myself, DMO73, and I'm joined as always by Mike Rance.
Here, as joined as always by myself, Jeremy Franklin, me, and Jeremy, myself.
Strong start, and also Paul Reisman's here.
Hey,
You made it.
Hey,
I did it.
you did.
Hey.
Good to have you all here. Jeva, Black, good to have you here. Thank you so much. As always, thank you everyone who is here. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you like it, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button and the little bell to be notified whenever we go live. We have lots of videos coming out this week, so you're definitely not going to want to miss any of those. You can also consider clicking that join button down below to support the channel financially. Get access to all kinds of cool perks like emotes, merch, getting your decks submitted to us for deck doctoring, all kinds of cool stuff. So consider checking that out. With that out of the way, guys, hey, did you know that we had spoilers this week?
What?
Yeah, spoilers came out.
You're just gonna spoil that fact for me?
Underworld of Secrets spoils started this past week.
What?
Well, I guess they're not under the world anymore. They're out. They're right here.
Yeah, they're
Underworld
right
of
here.
Secrets, more like Underworld of Totally Spoiled. Now you're not. Now it's no secret.
Ha!
Idiot.
Well done. A plus. A plus. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started with these cards. We have they're doing it a little bit differently this time. In the past set rounds of spoilers, it's been, you know, like all the rulers, then all the Marvel rares, then all, you know, that kind of thing. This week we've just got a lot of ninja stuff. So it's FoW-no-Justu day here on office hours. And we're going to go ahead and start with Hyde, the solitary assassin. So white-black ruler, partner 2, Shinobi EX area 2. At the start of the game, you gain a Shinobi EX area with 2 spaces, or you can expand your Shinobi EX area by 2 spaces until the end of the game. And you can play cards from your Shinobi EX area, so it becomes like a second hand, essentially. And you can pay 1 to put a card from your hand face down into that area, so you can kind of instant speed load, you know, kind of take from one hand and put into a different hand. Do some cool stuff like that, making sure my dog is not eating something that she's not supposed to. And she is. So I'm gonna let it happen. Anyway, so this is what we have going on. So it looks very much like, just off the bat, that the rulers for this set, rather than starting the game with a Cocoon, if the theming trends, most likely they'll be each kind of starting with potentially a unique area. So that's like the value that they generate on their coming in. Her partner, just to kind of go into it, because I think her partner kind of matters for what we're talking about here. Let me make sure we're grabbing the right thing. Go to Dell. We have X, the Black Cat Moonchild, Moon Protection entity. Shinobi Area EX1, so you can either make a Shinobi with space 1 or expand it by 1. So essentially, if you have them together, you have a Shinobi area starting of zone 3, essentially. Rest a recovered zone to filter into white or black, and can God's Art to pay 0. Look at the top 5 cards and put 1 card face down into that Shinobi area. So, thoughts on the Shinobi area, just out the gate?
Sounds less broken than the chance standby area.
Sounds more mechanically sound than stealth, potentially.
What if we just made it so that you can't put everything in there?
Well, you technically can put anything in there, but like you still have to actually pay to cast them, because it's not just pay, put things face down, then trigger.
Yeah, you can put anything in there up to 3 times. That's what you get to do.
What are you doing, Chipmunk Jeremy, right now?
I'm getting Chipmunk. Hello? X gave it to him.
X definitely gave it to Jeremy.
X gave it to him.
You gonna deliver
Cut
to
the
him?
mic.
Knock, knock. Open up the door.
Now, is that better, boys?
Oh, there we go. Okay, you're back.
I need to get a new microphone. Apparently, that needs to happen. Great, good to know. Yeah, way more interaction than stealth. Like David said, it's also just not like free cards. Like stealth was invest and make them free later. You still have to play the cards. You just kind of get this second hand. Gosh darn it! I'm sorry, guys. I hope it's improved now. If it keeps messing up, let me know, and I'll just like change microphones and sound bad for the rest of the night. I gotta get a new mic. This is what I'm hearing, is that I need to get a new microphone. So yeah, overall, I'm really excited to see what the EX area looks like. I think from a mechanical standpoint, it's, like I said, probably just better stealth. Seriously, I gotta get rid of this dog. So you guys talk about this for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about my feelings on the Shinobi EX area. First of all, that's definitely a name.
Hyde.
No, the Shinobi EX area 2. Like, I don't know. Something about that name irks me, but I'm also just like I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh card name formatting hater, where you can't just put like, Nutbuster Dragon at the end of your sentence and make it a real card. Like Supreme Ultimate Venom Dragon Starving EX23 or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's a real card. And I'm pretty sure that if you ate a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast, it just automatically wins you the game. And it's like 3, but
All right, so something happened there. I don't know what just happened there.
it's true.
So I appreciate that we're essentially getting a new Seer of the Blue Moon for ninjas, and these feel like actual ninjas, not like what Hanzo was supposed to be. Yeah, it is a cross between Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh for sure. Just call it the Ninjutsu area. We all know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just call it the incognito area. Not stealth. It's not stealth.
It's not stealth. It's not stealth.
Incognito.
It's incognito. So
It's your browser history.
let's go into
The
let's go
VPN
into
area.
our first
The VPN area.
let's go ahead and go into our first contract here. We have Rocket Dive, which is our contract for Hyde. 1 white, 1 black. Your opponent banishes 2 resonators, or you get to permanently expand your area by 1 until the end of the game. And then if you played it from your face down, you get to contract. And so the contract is Pink Spider, Ninja Spider, 8/11 with Drain and Bane, because they always go together most of the time.
Drainbane's back.
Drain Bane's back, let's go!
Drainbane's back. Drainbane's back.
You can still continue to play cards from your EX Shinobi area. You expand it by 1 until the end of turn. You take any amount of cards in your hand that can fill the number of slots you have, dump it into your EX area, and draw that same number of cards. So she's also kind of like Charlotte. Like, okay, sure.
I do like the hand dump refill. I do love those.
Yeah, especially since going into the Shinobi area isn't actually like losing them. It's kind of like, we've seen this before with other rulers that have used like the old Rezard from the Rezard from the BFA, the one that could like set a bunch of cards face down into his standby zone. It's that same kind of feel, like flip, load up the mechanic, be ready to then, make use of stuff later. Overall, I really like that idea, especially the fact that it reloads your hand too.
Yeah, there's a lot of card draw in this.
Yeah,
so far.
she has a lot of card draw for a darkness deck. Emily,
Yeah.
They can see you on the camera.
No, they can't.
They absolutely can see you on the camera. Everyone say hi, Emily.
Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Definitely cannot see Emily.
Hi, Ash, West Knight. Good to see you. It's been a while since you've been here. Sorry, that was a bit of a while ago.
Hey.
Quickly to go into Java Black's question before we go into this card a little bit more. Do you guys like the state of the game moving forward, or do you miss old FoW?
Yes.
Both? Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both is fine. Like,
See, the thing is, FoW's a very different game now, but like, there's nothing stopping you from playing the old format of FoW casually with friends. Like, I still do that. Like, I'll still, like, Jeremy, you and I literally took some of the new cards and just ported them into old rulers. Last time
Yeah,
we did a
absolutely.
feature
And that was
match.
a ton of fun. Like, Emily's trying to be a ninja. She's trying. But yeah, I think you could still absolutely play old FoW. I think that I get my most old FoW experience playing the cube.
Ooh,
Especially
yeah.
because like the
Cube's
design
fun.
of it is like the power level is kind of scaled as like the best cards throughout FoW's history, but like the tempo of the cube still feels very like old school FoW-y. And so I get that experience. New FoW is a very different, I mean, it has evolved over the span of 7 years in the United States. But I also think that with the transition to Wanderer and the combination ban list, some of the things that I didn't like about new FoW have been addressed and are being addressed. And so like games still feel very engaging, games still feel very fun. We're just at a faster pace and a different kind of like curve identity than we were way back in the day. So it still feels very much like FoW. It just feels a little bit lower to the ground. But I'm okay with that, if that makes sense.
If you want to play old school FoW versus your friends who are playing new school FoW, ask them to do a cross ban list match where you play like an old deck from an old format under that old ban list, like full power Sherry as TSW came out. See how that does against current decks. Like that's fun. That's wacky. That's a lot of
There's
fun
some
to do.
wackiness to that end. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, Jeff. I think the three of us kind of have a very similar perspective about that.
Yeah.
Paul and I have gotten into this a bunch as well as we've explored the new stuff. We've kind of tried to showcase that off a little bit more in the feature matches as well, because I think in the span of the past year and a half, especially since with the Trista Wanderer, it's almost kind of been easier for us to diversify, truly letting like GP live streams handle the competitive side and let the feature matches show that like if you're not trying to go competitive or if you're just playing it like a local level competitive, there's so much jank that could be successful and fun. Like it's been easier to differentiate between those two and also let them speak for themselves. So I think the explorable good experience of FoW over the years has also expanded, if that makes sense. Like there are more ways to play FoW that feel good as opposed to play competitive or bust, which in the old days of FoW, the polarity between good cards and bad cards was so intense that it was just you have to play competitive or you're just not having fun.
Right.
So
yeah,
we'll talk about Baja format before Death Set came out. Then we'll stop talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think that I am personally a proponent for old school FoW just because I liked the intrinsic simplicity of it.
Sure.
Back when it was first out. I'm also a mid-range player, and mid-range is dead right now, so like, you know, it depends.
I mean, maybe mid-range has a little bit more playability. I think ninjutsus are looking like they're probably going to be a mid-range.
They do like the mid-range thing. I'm just gonna have to get over calling something the Shinobi EX era.
Yeah. Okay. So thoughts on Pink Spider before we move on to the ninjutsus.
So I like that you want to contract to get variety out of the EX area. Because right now we're not seeing, outside of maybe like Berserker and Aristella and maybe Asuka, a lot of decks are just not playing contracts because there's no reason to. You have like a really good mastery spell. Whereas Pink Spider, if you want to run the deck, you have to run the contract. Right? Like that it feels a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more simplified in that way.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. The stats are okay. They're not overpowering. Dreambane, still good.
Well, one thing that's important to keep in mind is that she also will be, because of a card we're about to look at with her Cocoon, is she will also be one of the few quick cast contracts. Or has potential to be a quick cast contract.
We won't know that
super
until
important.
we get to
the next card that we're about to show off. But like, spoilers for the spoilers. But like, currently in the format, in set 1, the only contract that was quick cast was Ainz. And so that was a big that's also kind of a big limitation for, I think, so why some decks have kind of petered away from like, do I need to contract, is because like the lack of putting out a J ruler at not quick cast speed when we're coming off of the order format, which then flooded the board with J ruler removal, I think also spoke to why decks aren't playing contracts. Is like J ruler removal became very, very prevalent in dual cluster as did quick cast J rulers. So the idea of proactively doing judgment on my turn, walking into some removal doesn't feel super great. Berserker's different because he can give himself eternal and like produces the will to be able to do it, so that doesn't feel as bad. But like Falchion feels a little bit weird to do that with. Aristella kind of felt like I'm just trying to really get a search to get a horse, like, so he didn't really care. But Pink Spider opens up the idea of quick cast ordering or contracting, which I think will be a big potential piece for her as well, which also really goes well with like loading stuff in, like quick cast, contract, load up, go to my turn, start casting stuff from the EX area, which I think is potentially very, very strong. So let's talk about the cocoons, right? So we have Iga, the Village of Assassins. It's a quick cast cocoon. Starts in the main deck. You're gonna be playing at least 3 of this card probably in the deck, because if you want to make it free, I said at least 3. Keep in mind,
At least 4.
because so the biggest thing, like we said before, is these aren't going to be able to start outside your deck. You're going to have to find these in your main deck. So quick cast ninjas and ninjutsus in your hand, graveyard, removed area, and face down in your Shinobi EX area. Or no, not face down, just in your Shinobi area. Gain quick cast. You could reveal it. If you control a ninja J/ruler, you can put it into the field. If you do, at the next end of turn, it gets banished, and then you can tap it, or put it face down into your. So if you have a slot left in your EX area, you can put it face down, and then you can tap to produce white or black. Spend this will only to play cards from your Shinobi EX area. Ramp for ninjas, right? Potential 1-turn free ramp for ninjas that then can like be reused later and later and later. Keep in mind that it does say reveal this card from your hand, so you can't like reveal it from your EX area and make it free, which is important. And it will take a slot in your EX area. That's also important to consider. Like, it's not the standby zone where you can just have 9 cards out the gate. You are actually going to need to manage the number of slots you're allowed to have.
Oh my god. Wait, this thing reveals itself at quick cast speed, too.
Correct. It's an activate ability. Yep.
Ooh, jeez. That's pretty good. Also, is this the first time we've had a quick cast edition since Floating Isle?
Maybe.
I don't remember. I feel like there was another one. Was there a boat? I think there was a boat.
Let's see. Ash West Night. I didn't get a
the
chance to
Giants
open any set 1. Our contracts are hard to get. So one of the unfortunate things from set 1, Ash, is that contracts were only available outside of secret rare contracts or god packs, and secret rare contracts were 1 per pre-release kit or included in a god pack. Contracts could only be pulled with the ruler. So a ruler pack was 1 ruler, 1 matching contract, 1 Moonchild. So that meant that per box, you were only getting 2 contracts. This was a common complaint from the community that's been risen to the company. The hope is that they have addressed this in time for set 2. We don't know if they have or not. There are 3. The recent video, I believe the recent video from the Force of Will channel mentioned that unless I misunderstood it, said that Hero Cluster is going to be 3 sets. So if it's not fixed for set 2, hopefully they fix it for set 3. So it's been we have actually a whole podcast, I think, where we talked about this, about like, is it worse than MOA? Is it worse than EDL? Like, whole kinds of thing. But yeah, it was a little bit difficult to pull contracts, unfortunately. Odin's Sword is quick cast. That's true. The Dark Edition from the Dark Edition from last set. Yep. VIP seats, as well as Dark Sun also was a quick cast edition. Yep.
We've had a lot of quick cast editions.
We have had a lot. Stupid question. Not a stupid question. Why is that so bad? So that's part of the toss up, right? So Jeva, the big thing about the contracts was that these are your J rulers. So you get to play 4 of them, but you have to pull them while you're playing your deck. But then if you only pack 1 when you get the ruler, it's hard to pack it, so it's hard to be able to play 4. So then it feels like you're not going to be able to do judgment very often or do contract, which feels bad. And it also means that the contracts themselves are going to be more expensive. We've seen contracts kind of level out at 25 to 30 a piece, which arguably was about the cost of J rulers back in the day of like the most like stable priced J rulers, but then you consider if you want to play a full playset, it's 4 of them. So then really your J ruler is like $110, which feels weird. Now, that being said, players have really pivoted, and we've seen competitively successful that contracts haven't been super necessary at the competitive level, but casually, J rulers are fun. You want to have that uniqueness to it. So that's part of the toss-up, right? The community has been like up and down, middle of the road, super angry, kind of chill. Like everyone's got a little bit of a different perspective about exactly how bad this problem is, but it is something that's still been raised to the company as like, you need to be aware that this is what people are talking about. Ta-da. Okay, yeah. So Iga. Paul, do you have any thoughts on Iga?
It's just super good. I don't
Yeah.
know what to say.
card.
It's nice that we have the like Raymond mode on it to like reveal it and put it in if you need to get something out of your EX area quickly. I also like that if you do that, you can immediately pay Will to get that thing out of your area, which is really nice. I'm trying to see if you do against it the next end of turn, banishes or puts it from the field in the owner's Shinobi EX area. So I mean, it basically recycles itself, right?
In a
I mean,
sense,
you can
yeah,
put
it can.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially since you could, if you had, so say I had like a coin, right? I could go reveal this, put it into play, tap float, send it to face down, use the float, use the coin, recast it for real, and then I just have it, right? So there's like some manipulation that can go on there for sure. It does have ways to be able to recycle itself. I'm very glad that it can't just fully pay for itself doing that kind of stuff. Like, you actually do need to kind of commit if you want to try to go this cheaty route. But it is definitely something that you're going to have to be like mindful of. And it doesn't cantrip. Thank goodness. I don't think I've ever been so happy to see a card not cantrip. Oh my gosh. Imagine if this card cantripped. I would lose my mind if this card cantripped.
Draw
Correct.
a card.
Just I would explode about how good that card was. I'd play it in every deck. I'd play this card outside of the Shinobi decks if this thing cantripped. Friggin' gross.
We did talk about something when it came down to X,
Sure.
because the God's art there is really, really good. Just a Percival for anything that can go in your EX area, and you just put it down.
Technically, it doesn't have to be any. Literally, so I think, you know what? Actually,
Oh, you're right.
it can.
You
Well,
still go
here's the
top
thing.
5 and you just put one.
Here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. I believe I saw somewhere, I think it was in the Forcible TCG Discord, that I think the German posts might have said that the CR is going to state that only like ninjas and ninjutsus are able to go in the, like, not any card can go face down. Like, it'll only be a specific subtype of card, which does make X's God's art more situational, because it's not just like put anything face down and call it late. You know, it's not a free Percival for anything. But that being said, it's still a very good card. I also just like the fact that you can just, any of the Moon Children rulers can just kind of splash this like once little ninja trick in, which is very cool. Control Aristella also uses the Marvel Rare contract over the regular, over Fairy Tale King. We put that on the channel this past week, if you haven't seen that feature match.
So yeah, no faking a chance.
No faking a chance standby. If we're correct. Again, I don't have that. We'll have to wait until the CR drops, as always. But speaking of ninjutsus, let's talk about some, because we got some. First up, we have Whistling Summoning. 1 white, 1 colorless, quick cast ninjutsu. Put a resonator of total cost 3 or less from your Shinobi EX area into the field, and you can flip this card face down to put target resonator with total cost, or flip this card face down in your area face up. So essentially give your opponent the knowledge that you have this card available to put target resonator with total cost 1 or less from your graveyard into your hand. 10 out of 10. I don't care that you know that I can cheat out a dude. I just free bought back a 1-drop. Like, totally fine.
I also think that the quick cast put a thing from your, Shinobi EX area into the field at quick cast speed like that. That's got some interesting implications for just literally any 3-drop in general. Like, what's the best 3-drop in the game?
Well, again, that comes down to what we said before. Like, can you put anything in the face down area or only certain types of cards, right?
I mean, if we go to Hyde, it's just put a card from your hand face down into your chance standby area.
Correct.
Shinobi
Correct.
EX
Which is why one of the clarifications was, like, again, I think the German page stipulated that, because the German page usually talks a little bit more, unless I misread it, or I might be going crazy. Let's wait for the CR. But, like, if it is truly any 3-drop that you can just put face down, this card is bonkers. If it's specifically ninjas, that's still pretty good. We just got to see exactly what those ninjas look like. Also with X, Omega Zero, also with X, can you play cards from the ninja space if you don't control the ruler? No. But there's probably other cards that will let you be able to play cards from the EX area. Or you have things like Whistling Summoning, which is like...
Which can actually interact with...
Correct. You just cheat something from face down.
Yeah.
As opposed to actually doing it. Yeah, so like Whistling Summoning is a card that's like good to cast from hand or has added benefit if you can get it face down, which I think is totally fine.
Jeremy, I got it. So on this image,
okay.
First of all, Kamijuru's art style is immediately recognizable and fantastic. I love the detail Kamijuru does on eyes.
Yes.
A+. There's a spider in here. It says pink spider, but I also see a lizard and a butterfly. So we're going to get red butterfly and white lizard as the next 2 rulers. Mark my words.
As the next 2 rulers?
Sorry,
like
contracts.
As the next 2 contracts? That's a real hot take.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But hear me out. It's in the artwork.
Okay. Next up we have Ninjutsu Meditation. 1 white ninjutsu. Produce 3 will in any combination of white and or black. Spend this will only to play ninjas or ninjutsus from your shinobi area. If you played this card from your shinobi area, draw a card. So it's very much a theme here, right? She can burn her spaces for her utility or enabler stuff. And by doing so, she makes the potential play coming off of them a little bit less explosive, but she gets some benefit back. Or she can cast them from hand and truly try to load up on value pieces from the shinobi area, which I think is a very cool trade-off, again, which I also think is really nice about the fact that you're got to keep track of how many spaces you have. You only start with 3, so you got to be really mindful about what you're putting in there and how often you're using it. This card is very, very middle of the road. It's potentially very win-more-y because thankfully it can't be used to put those cards face down. It's only once you have those cards there that this card becomes useful. So
I had to like check this card to make sure I didn't see any comments saying this is broken. Why are they letting us produce 3 will for 1 mana? And it's like I'm looking at this card more and more, and like the best part of the Shinobi EX area is the fact that you have a lot of things that give them quick cast.
Right.
And this card doesn't.
Well, this card could get quick cast if you have if you have the castle, right?
It's like so many moving parts.
Yes, I mean, like she feels very much like mid-range setup trickster deck, right? Like she's not a control deck. Like she's going to kind of like in the middle of the game quickly turn the tempo on you and then just like assassinate you essentially. Like out of nowhere, out of left field, you're dead. Because she's kind of been laying the traps for you, which thematically and contextually with the like art style and the archetype is very, very cool to me. I'm very, very excited to play it. I also like Stealth was one of my all-time favorite decks. I still play it today. So like I'm here for it 100%. Paul, thoughts on Ninjutsu Meditation?
I think this is interesting card design because it might be hinting that we are not getting potential cards either combo banned or removed from the metagame.
You mean Origins?
Soon. Maybe.
I think Origins is going to get banned.
Okay. Well, in this way, if it does get banned and we don't have access to Drywing like literally everywhere, this card is going to be really good.
Correct.
I feel like this card and like pretty much everything else we've seen so far, I've said it before, but I love saying it again. This deck feels like Black Wings.
You have said Black Wings about so many decks recently.
Oh, shut up. Nobody
That
wants
feels
to
like
hear about Black Wings anymore.
Oh,
This
goodness.
card feels like Gale the Warbler.
Stephen Wells, with Iga, Ninjutsu Meditation helps you pop off hella hard since you could Ninjutsu Meditation at the end of your opponent's turn. Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely. You know, it comes down to, but then the question is, are you playing it from hand? Are you playing it from EX area, right? Because if you have EX area, then you made 3 will for 2 cards, right? Because you only have 2 spaces. You know, so then it's, again, that's... I really like the natural constraints of the resources that they have kind of created in the EX area, that it's not just unlimited space right out the gate, because then it can just be like, I'm just going to play a bunch of face down cards as much as I want, right? Because then there's also the idea of like,
I'll set 1 card down my face down area.
also
Move,
it doesn't make sense for me to just like contract on 0 to try to dump 5 cards, because I won't be able to dump all 5 of those cards. Right, so it's just like, you know what I mean? And even if I did dump all 4 of those cards, I wouldn't be able to immediately cast them because I won't have the resources for it. So it's like, meh. So I really like the design space of it. It's very, very cool. Agree, feels Blackwing. Someone's Ashes agreeing with you, Paul.
Oh no.
True.
Somebody's agreeing with Paul.
Just to clarify, when
Oh,
playing a
man.
card from the EX area, are we paying that card's cost, or are we just popping them? As far as we know, you are playing the card, so you have to cast them. It's not trigger, cheat onto chase. It's just you have to play them.
Does in fact play the card.
Yeah. Yep. You have to actually pay cost. It's not trigger stealth. Our last ninjutsu so far is Entangling Web. 2 black, quick cast. You may play this card from your Shinobi EX area without paying its cost if your opponent produced will from a non-magic stone, non-ruler source this turn. So did they cheat will in any way, shape, or form? This is free from face down. Destroy all J resonators that entered the field this turn.
That's pretty good for 2 will.
This card good even at 2 will. This card good. Like... Darkness has been, strangely enough, kind of sorely lacking in a board wipe for a very long time.
For once.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And so this is, I like that this is a situational board wipe, that it's, you know, it can't deal with stuff that's been already established and had been sitting there for a bit, but it does kind of say like, oh, you overextended, punish. Like, which I'm totally fine with. I'm fine with quick cast board wipes being situational like this, where it's a punish for an overextend, not just I just want to clear the field, right? So I overall I really like.
Clear the field.
Sure, but I mean, if you wait till your turn and your opponent hasn't done anything, then like, okay. Or if your opponent's only played like 1 dude, then this is just a removal spell, right? So the situational element of it, I really like in the design space, but I am also glad that they're introducing something like this into the environment. Feels more like a sideboardy ninjutsu based on what this format looks like. But I could see playing like 1 or 2 of it, just like we were kind of playing some decks were splashing like 2 flashing smiles. Like I could see it being a very similar perspective. If we play 2, maybe sideboard a 3rd kind of thing. Overall, very cool card. Very reminiscent of Spider's Web in like the art style, which also I'm very big fan of that card. Yeah, so pay to put them down, then pay to play. Yeah, but keep in mind that Hyde lets you put them down at instant speed.
Yeah.
So like
She has a mana sink.
So yeah, she has a mana sink built into herself to be able to put stuff face down. Also means that she's vulnerable to Shackles of Ice. Keep that in mind.
Good.
Yeah, vulnerability is good.
Play Dispelling Stone.
Hard punish Vega. It doesn't hard punish Vega because he just gives himself Eternal. But
And
I
that's
mean,
gonna be even more common if we get like a Origins ban. That's gonna be even more common.
yeah, there are other ways to deal with Vega though. But also if Origins, here's the other thing too, to go down to super big rabbit hole that way. If Origins gets banned, things get opened up, but also so do your sideboards. You're welcome for having 7 of your cards of your sideboard back. So like you can better prepare for decks like Vega because you'll have the space to be able to do it. You're welcome. Sorry.
Ban Origins so I can get my 4th copy, please. That'd be great. Thanks.
I think quick cast board wipes are unfortunately necessary to some degree with how powerful stuff like Sprint is, where your opponent can just generate a board and punch with the heal. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Agree.
Imagine thinking of 2 mana.
But that's what I'm
when
saying, like,
sprinting.
That's what I'm saying about like a card like this is designed to punish overextension. So like super going in hard on a sprinting steward, you know, or something like that. Fine for me. Chronomage. Hi, Chronomage. Good to see you, buddy. With the amounts of fun decks, there are quite a few that can catch competitive decks off guard and win. Uber Series told us all about that. I talked to a lot of the players at the Uber Series, and there were a ton of really cool rogue decks that were all in contention, and a lot of the matches we were told that at the top tables came down to skill as to whether or not and people playing tight and like little tiny pieces of tiny decision trees, not just I have the better deck so I win, which was very, very cool to see, and I'm very excited about it for FoW-fest.
Force of Will? More likely than you think.
Depending on how many dudes are coming in at a time, this card could be really good or really bad. Yep. You can play around it. You can try to play around it by just like playing incremental value and not trying to overextend yourself. So, there you go.
Like a Blackwing player.
Oh my god, Paul, stop.
So, we have 2 more cards to talk about here. We have the Spiders. First up, we have Glowing Spider, Ninja Spider, 1 white, 4/4. Gains +2/+2 for each card in your Shinobi EX area. So, potentially at the start, if you're playing her and X, it is a 1-drop 10/10 once you've fully loaded. Enter, draw X cards, where X is the number of cards in your face down area. Card's good.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's encouraging you to use it. This is a card that's encouraging you to use the space, right?
Jeremy,
even
don't give me
outside.
hope like that. You said the face down area. I thought it just said face down area.
No,
I
it's
didn't
the
realize it
Shinobi
was
EX
just-
area. I apologize.
That's so sad. Imagine if that thing. Imagine this in Seer of the Blue.
K1? Don't
Don't threaten you with a good time.
don't
Okay,
threaten me with a good
understood.
time. You mean I got my K1 deck suddenly to have draw power? Unbelievable.
That would be insane.
Insane.
Too bad they didn't want to do that.
And then the other half of the matching card artwork, because these 2 cards put together share the same piece of art, which is dope. We have Stealthy Black Widow, 1-drop 4/4 flying, gains +2/+2 for each card in your Shinobi EX area, and you may destroy target resonator your opponent controls with total cost X or less, where X is the number of cards face down. Nice little 1-drop removal boy.
And a flying blocker at instant speed.
Boy, well, he could be at instant speed if you get out Iga, because he has Ninja.
Yeah, there's a lot of value there. I'm just assuming all the cards have quick cast now. Like
As a person who's played Force of Will for the past 3 years, you would not be amiss.
Yeah, so that's the first set of spoilers that we got. Overall, yeah, again, pushing you to put cards in the EX area. Yep, encouraging you to lean into the mechanic. The other cool thing
You will play this.
The other
Said
cool
Force
thing-
of Will.
So the other interesting thing that's to talk about on the back end is that pre-release environments with Hero Cluster are played by using the Moon Children rulers. They are your choices, and we've only seen one. We've only seen X, right? But X is one of your potential options, and so these are normals that you will see in your opening pool that will benefit from the fact that X will let you have an EX area, right? You don't have a way to put them face down. We gotta see what the other cards are for potentially doing that. But he's also a ninja, right? So then, like, you get the Cocoon. You can load up a card, and you can use that to load up in your. There's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do. So I'm already even looking at these cards from a limited environment, and overall that also is already seeming like it's going to be a fun concept to be able to play limited. What's the biggest we can get the EX area to right out the gate? So right now it starts at 3. Contract expands it to 4. So if you cast and resolve all 4 contracts, you could get it to 7.
So expect 4.
Expect 4 on average.
Expect 4.
Which is totally fine. I don't like that it has flying and not a new symbol skill like Magic's Reach keyboard. Oh, spiders can block flying dudes, but don't have flying. Let this stealthy... I mean, there are spiders in the world that can fly. That is a thing.
I appreciate your defense there, Jeremy. It's very well thought out. I appreciate you trying.
We're just not going to think about that anymore, okay?
Yeah.
We're not going to think
like,
about
yeah,
that.
they make webs that like can get lifted up on the air and then they just fly.
Jeremy, please don't.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
Please don't defend flyers at this point. We have so many humans that fly and so many birds that don't.
You'd be so surprised that like this past format didn't actually have a lot of flyers in it. For how many flyers we've had in Force of Will.
Because there were no humans, there were only birds.
So we kind of have to run the main ruler to be even able to play cards in the EX area.
Yes.
Potentially. I mean, we've only seen, what, 8 of her cards? Also, we've
10
seen...
if you count the promos.
We've also
12
seen...
if you count the promos.
We've also seen that she has the whistling, which can cheat in a guy from there. So, like, there are probably going to be ways to cheat in stuff from there.
It says, put this card from your hand into your Shinobi EX area.
I didn't know about that, and now I wish you weren't here today. Sorry, buddy. It's floating with style. Yeah. You live where the movie Arachnophobia was filmed. Spiders for days. More cards.
No, or not. Fire for days. I will burn the world. I don't care.
Paul, but I'm in the world.
I'm gonna. Okay, you can stand with me as long as you're not a spider in disguise. Okay.
How do you know Jeremy isn't just 1,000 spiders
wearing
a Jeremy suit?
Okay, you're in the fire. Okay.
Thank you for the involuntary.
Our entire friendship was based on a lie. You've been a spider this whole time. It's not okay.
It turns out he was actually a spider in the Shinobi EX area.
The whole time. Yeah, these cards are very, very cool. I'm very excited. I am excited to see the other rulers. We know that the Void rulers are 6 and 9.
Nice.
They are, as far as we know, that they are the German words for 6 and 9.
Something different here.
So, memes for days. There you go.
There's all the nices. I'm waiting for these to come through. I wasn't even paying attention. It was just a gut reaction.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And then we have Goo Boy, Reflected Refrain, the Dragonoid Lady, and then the blonde person who we don't know anything about. There's the nicest. Thank you very much. So overall, let's do this. We have a lot of speculation to go into as we wait for the other rulers. As a whole, if it holds true that these new rulers are going to be kind of, instead of starting with free cocoons, creating a different kind of space to interact with, and a different kind of mechanic to interact with. How do you feel about that compared to what we saw out of the rulers from last set and how they were different from each other?
Paul, you can start. I didn't play the last set.
Sure. So we know historically that Force of Will likes to use the first set as like proof of concept and then use like subsequent sets to sort of like develop that concept more.
Sure.
I like where this is going because it doesn't necessarily say you get this free edition. So the older rulers still look pretty enticing. Um, but they're doing so many like new and cool things with, just having additional effects being a contract ruler. You still want to try them out in that sense. I don't know if the power level of this new ruler is quite at the point yet where I would say, it's definitely better than Vega, or it's definitely better than Aristella. I would not say that at this point. It's got a board wipe, it's got a cheat, a couple of cheat spells, frankly. But I want to see some more cards to see how good this particular ruler is going to be.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
I think for me, the biggest piece that I started to hear, we had this conversation at the last, even before the first spoilers came out. We had this conversation at my locals this past week that these rulers of this set, of the first set, outside of Ainz, who just truly feels so different than everyone else, feel all very samey. There's not that there's nothing necessarily unique about them other than hey, look, 3 rulers. It's Fowchin decks and Aristella decks don't look very different from each other, except Fowchin's playing some more additions and has daily research over twin princes, right? Mika is just cool in the fact of draw, discard, give your opponent tokens. It's casually, especially, Mika kind of feels a cool gimmick or thematically, but she just kind of feels like a mid-range red ruler. She doesn't nothing feels mechanically unique about her. She's just kind of using already existing concepts and kind of reskinning them. Berserker feels like a red deck, Berserker's felt a little bit different in the whole paying life to hurt yourself to do stuff, but honestly we've also kind of seen that before. She's not the first ruler in FoW's history to use its own life as a resource. So set 1 rulers felt very, like you said, proof of concept, or exploring the world of moon children and contracts and mastery. And now we're seeing the different rulers mechanically functioning different. That has been such a prevalent thing in Force of Will's history, better flushed out in this design space, which I think overall I'm very excited for, and I think will give people more engaging differences as you try the different rulers, which is good. Let's see, is there going to be a primer for this pre-release? Ooh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
If we can get all the rulers reviewed in time, maybe we can try to do a primer for the pre-release, cards to look for in your pull, what we would consider to be bombs, that kind of thing. What the difference between the different probably once we see the difference between the different moon children and see the different mechanics, then we're probably going to be able to give a good idea of what that primer looks like. But that's a good idea, Ash. Thank you very much. We'll look into that for sure.
I like it.
Let's see. Robert Green, I'm guessing RR was first made of the rulers for the pack and built them, and their Moonchilds match them, and maybe all of them don't get to throw out an addition. I don't think RR have a Moonchild. Because we know there's 4 Moonchildren and 8 rulers. There's 4 rulers that are from Solaris, being Goo Boy, Dragonoid Chick, Sad Old Man, and Hyde. And then we have 6 and 9, who are the Void rulers paired together, and Reflect and Refrain paired together. And only 4 Moonchildren. Nice. You're welcome. So I think it's generally speculated that Reflect and Refrain won't have a Moonchild to go with them. They'll be paired together, just like 6 and 9 will be paired together. There you go. The memes write themselves. The memes write themselves, right?
I'm literally not going to say anything, man. It's fine.
ISM, also, do we know if there's any other ways to load the EX area, kind of like the white and black discard options we saw for the promos? Nothing yet. Not yet. Other than the God's Art of X. Robert running X with Iga in like one of the previous sets rulers, just so you can get a Shinobi EX area in addition to a Moonchild. Then you can start the game with Iga in play. Oh, that's true, because you could start because you could choose that as your Cocoon. That's an interesting, like a mini Shinobi package. That could be very, very cool if we have another way to be able to play them from that area, which is cool. I'm down with that. Make a little splashable Shinobi engine. Cool. FoW-Fest entry at TCG Prime East this weekend. You don't think the red ruler is Dragonoid? You think it's going to be a dinosaur?
Take, but I love it.
I mean,
they did dinosaurs dirty.
To me, looking at the card art, looking at the character's artwork, it just feels like the similar kind of almost like Millium reincarnation kind of idea of like Sylvia. So it like looks very much like Sylvia, probably something related to Dragonoids or something like that. Isn't Sylvia? Maybe. Thought of it that way. How are the first ruler and moon children work closely together? Yep. I mean, I'm very excited. I also think that if there's these like there's something to be said about if these little mini engines can then be splashed into the other rulers, right? So that Force of Will always feels good when stuff from the new set is applicable not only to the new rulers, but also encourages you to take those cards and then play with the older stuff as well, like experiment in that space. And so the fact that the Moonchild X gives you some wiggle room to try to play with the Ninjitsu package outside of Hyde is interesting to me, right? That's intriguing to me as well. So I look forward to seeing what that looks like for the other rulers as well. Dino Wolves. Werewolves, werewolves need some love, different world. Yeah, we are in a different world. Yep. But also, like, time is weird right now. and you can't tell me that Aristella doesn't just, like, look exactly like Millium.
Jeremy, tell me, when's time in Force of Will not been weird?
Want to see the new Dual Stones too? Yeah, we'll probably see the next suite of Moon Fragments to finish out the suite of Moon Fragments. Yeah, so that'll be cool as well. Finally get all 10 of those to be able to play around with. I'm looking at a bunch of different chats right now just to see if anything is like popped up. Paul, who are you most excited of the rulers to learn more about? And why is it Goo Boy?
Well, it was Goo Boy. Now it is Goo Boy and Pink Spider. Like the play style of this new ruler is very much like I feel very mid-rangey. I like how this deck rewards you if you can figure out when do I need to swarm the field and just win, and when do I just need to be like conservative with my plays, right? Decks like that have always been really interesting to me. They really sharpen my skill as a card game player in general. So
yeah,
this ruler is really speaking to me. Plus, it's like, I mean, it all goes back to the chaos.
There's Mike. He's gone. Yes, Mikey's gone. And he's back. Maxime. Also, hi, Maxime. Good to see you again. Looking forward to seeing you next month, my friend. Ainz being his twin brother still confuses me. Well, in the lore, his twin brother was stolen when they were children, like kidnapped. And so they're probably like programmed in a sense of like brainwashed. And now he works for the Typhon people or whatever. Maybe set 3 we get Ainz back to normal. We get to save Ainz and have him be whatever his actual name is. I'm down for
I know what I have to do, but I don't have the will to do it.
You should use dinner time. It'll give you more will.
There you go. I think for me, of the rulers, I think I was most interested in Hyde as soon as I kind of like, got any kind of inkling that it was going to be anything like Stealth. I think she was already going to be the one that I was most excited about. However, one piece of artwork, let me see if I can pull it up here. One piece of artwork has immediately jumped a ruler to my number 2 slot.
Is it Sad Old Man?
No, it's not Sad Old Man. I'm trying to
That's
find.
what I'm excited about.
I'm trying to find the artwork here real quick. Yeah, here it is. Perfect. I'm gonna save this here. I'm gonna pull it up. One piece of artwork immediately changed my perspective, and it's this one right here. The card preview will start tomorrow image, and the reason why, as it gets like locked behind us, is because of this image in the top left corner. That is very clearly Violet, like very clearly Violet. And to me, I gotta say, I think Reflect and Refrain might be like old characters, the deck. I have a vibe there that like that's the
You've
only
got a Shion-esque too.
Yeah, there's a Shion-esque looking character in this artwork as well. Like, there's something about that card art and like where we are in the story and who Reflect and Refrain are as characters that they've just always kind of been like in the background, kind of connected to everything, kind of always watching. And now suddenly we see a character who probably just really shouldn't exist in this timeline, who was a wanderer in the card art now. And if Reflected Refrain is just foul favorite characters, the deck, then like I'm so sold. I'm in. Like, I don't care how bad it is. I'll keep it sleeved forever. I don't care. So like, so I'm very excited for Reflect Refrain. I think the last time we saw Reflect and Refrain, the mechanic didn't really like gel, I think, with the idea of Reflect and Refrain, like the double ruler flip kind of stuff with the inverts and stuff. It was neat, but it felt very, very gimmicky, but like nothing really to do with Reflect and Refrain. It was just like, we're flipping back and forth a bunch. But
it's flippy dippy.
Yeah, but if Reflect and Refrain's characters in this one is all of your fan favorite characters, like the FoW's greatest hits characters, the deck, and that's then connected to Reflect Refrain, that feels very themey, and that's just gonna hit me nostalgia wise like completely, especially as we're coming up on the 10th anniversary. So like, I 100% am down for that for sure.
You know what? Actually, Jeremy, I'm gonna level with you here. Do you want to know what I hope that they do?
Go for it.
So, if your theory about Reflect Refrain being like the old rulers deck or old characters deck, in theory of the 10th anniversary, everything in the deck should revolve around thousands, like plus 1,000, minus 1,000, 1,000 attack, 1,000 defense. That would be so, or 1,300 for 2013.
That'd just be like layered on layered on layered, and I'd be totally down. Union 10.
Union 10
for 10th anniversary.
Jeremy, why aren't you and I on the?
I went there. That's not Violet. That's Teloeve. Reverse Violet. I like that. Well done. But yeah, I see. For me, Force, and this is an interesting point. Force of Will. Every set has rulers that are good and rulers that are bad. And the main difference being that there have been sets in Force of Will history where the bad decks still have like something about them that just makes them a blast to play, or just like scratch an itch in a way that's just like, I still love this deck no matter how bad it is. There have been a bunch of Force of Will sets that have not been that, where it's just like, it's very easy to write off the bad ruler and you just like never revisit it. But even if the bad ruler is Reflected Refrain plus all of my favorite Force of Will characters, like all of the Wanderers, like the Wanderer Brigade deck, even if that's terrible, I'm in for it. I still play Adelbert now because it's the same kind of thing of just like all my favorite characters, right?
Let's talk about the fact that if Wukong is one of those characters, Kyra Lucas is gonna have a fucking field day.
I know, right? So
give us back Wukong.
So yeah, that's me. Those are the two that I'm most excited for. Is Pink Spider and then Reflect and Refrain based on this artwork.
Once again, I'm a proponent for Sad Old Man.
Sad Old Man.
But that's just me. That's just a personal preference.
Nothing wrong with Sad Old Man.
Definitely nothing wrong with Sad Old Man.
It'll be interesting to see what. Yeah, that does that character.
I could make Sad Old Man Tribal. I could make Old Man Tribal.
Old Man Tribal. There you go.
I could do it. Heart Stirring Sage. Let's go.
Wanderer Rhea win. Brad. Okay. We have
Brad,
hit.
more like
This has been a wonderful conversation tonight. Thank you all so much for being so active in the chat. It is absolutely a blast to have it not just be the three of us chatting, but also being able to talk with all of you and getting your insights and perspectives, especially during spoiler season. We know that viewership goes up during spoiler season because people want to talk new cards, but in general, it's just so good to have you here, and we hope we put a smile on your face and made you laugh at our technical problems and me sounding like a chipmunk for a minute apparently because of my microphone.
Jeremy was the best. Bring it back for FoW-Fest.
And just all kinds of fun. If you haven't already, consider clicking that link down below to go to FoW-Fest. We're literally less than a month out now. And if you see here, you can't tell what any of these are, but these are a bunch of new promos that we've obtained that we haven't announced. So, like, I have even more surprises. Also, that box behind it has even more surprises. Like,
I got to see it and you all did it. Haha, you have to wait.
So, yeah, for sure.
There's a freeze frame and zoom in and depixelate.
Enhance. Right? So, there's a lot of cool stuff coming for FoW-Fest. It's certainly going to be a time that you definitely are not going to want to miss it. There is links to the information in the description as well as pre-registration. We really hope you guys come. The whole point of FoW-Fest is to be a party celebrating FoW where there just happens to be a tournament going on, very much trying to speak to the intent of Worlds, to the vibe of Worlds that we've come to miss over the past couple years, and we really hope to be able to put that on for you. So consider checking that out. But otherwise, thank you all so much for being here. Go ahead and consider clicking that like and subscribe button, sharing it out with your friends, or joining the channel as a member to help support us, especially as apparently I need a new microphone. And until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined, as always, by Paul Reisman.
Hi.
And Michael Rantz.
Why is it the Shinobi XR? Why couldn't it just be the Steel Chest? Fixed. Fine, whatever.
And until next time, class dismissed.